to vet the influencers. What we'll do is we'll come up with a list of our like dream influencers in the first place for a brand. And we think about what is the specific purpose and will they reach the demographic that we're trying to reach? Are we looking for a demographic with a lot of local followers? Are we looking for someone who has a very small but passionate and engaged following? So one example of this, we have a client who gave us a list of potential influencers. They had us on there. They had on there someone who was a local influencer who had a following of well over 50,000 followers, but they were supposed to be local. And we dug into the followers, and I could tell that this influencer at some point had purchased followers because not a lot of them were even local. And her posts barely got any engagement. But when we looked at other people, like other smaller local influencers that had, in the 3,000 to 7,000 range of followers, man, their audience was engaged. They were local profiles. They were having good conversations. The comments were wild every time they posted. Guess who we went with? Who was more valuable? So you have to think about, what are your goals? Who do you want to reach? What is actually more valuable for your brand? The other thing that we also look at when we're kind of vetting influencers is we'll reach out to them via email, DM, Messenger, however we think they might get back to us, and we see how long it takes them to respond and how professional they are in that response. This is if we're, whether we're inviting them to be, for a paid partnership, whether we're inviting them for brand ambassadorship, whether we just want to send them product, whether we want to invite them to an event, we always have to think through, are they behaving like professionals, or are they just someone that seems to be out for the free food or the free gift or, whatever. And so we also go through their feed and we make sure that they aren't posting anything that could be generally offensive. We take into consideration past posts. We look at past partnerships and see how they've worked with other partners and if they've been a good partner. So those are a few different things behind the scenes that we start out looking at before we even dig in and commit to working with an influencer. Once we've got an influencer like in the door, we usually will come up with an agreement. An agreement might be like, hey, we'd just like to send you some product. They may post about it. They may not. We'll, create a really nice gift basket. We'll bundle it together. We'll get that sent off to them. And they may post about it. They may not. They're under no obligation. But if it's paid, then we'll outline specifically what our expectations are. Here's what we would like you to do. We are expecting X number of social media posts. It has to go to Instagram, a story, a reel, all three. It has to be spread out over a certain amount of time. Are we going to be providing you product? Are you paying for that out of pocket yourself? What's your rate for doing the post? What is that going to actually cost us? And all of those different pieces need to be put together so that we can determine just how valuable something is. And it's something that we consider very strongly as an opportunity. But it does take a lot of time to coordinate all that. We always have them sign a contract. We will typically pay a deposit of 50% up front, and then we will pay again the final amount once the deliverables have been sent over. We also always include a clause that we are allowed to use the assets that they are creating on our own social feeds or potentially in ads. Sometimes influencers will charge you more for that. That's okay. You can negotiate that back and forth. It's different to negotiate reposting versus using their branded content in a digital ad format. So just some things to consider. And then we actually we require them to send a report to us at the end of things. Tell us how things went. Send us hyperlinks to the posts when they go live. We want the analytics. We need some data to determine if this is a good fit or not. So those are a few different things that we always consider when we're looking at that branded type content. One of the other things that we love doing when it comes to influencers is sending them something. And I love doing this with smaller influencers, sending them something that is going to be a complete and total surprise to them, along with an email or note that says, hey, we just sent you something in the mail. Our little treat from me to you, because the chance that that influencer is going to do a media open or something along those lines on a live, on TikTok, on Instagram, is very, very high. It's higher than with a bigger influencer that gets tons of media packages. And it's so fun to see them so delighted that their hard work is paying off and that they got something. And then their followers are excited for them as well. Here's when you know to cut ties with an influencer, by the way. And this, we have had to do this before. So we have had influencers who they are delightful on every level, but we had one influencer who we were paying to be a brand ambassador. We were paying them to represent a brand, and it was not inexpensive. And this brand ambassador decided that they were not going to follow any direction, utilize any of the talking, the one talking point we gave them. They just wanted to focus on their 100% on their own thing. But that's not what they agreed to in advance. And so we got the content out of it. It wasn't really what we wanted. And we ended up not using them again because they were really difficult to work with. And also they were not meeting any of the deadlines. And we had to constantly remind them, where is this? Do you have this? Is it here? What's going on? And so with that, I think it's worth considering it's okay to cut ties if somebody's not a good fit or not doing a good job representing you, or you feel like they're just out for the free stuff and not to actually be a good partner. So those are a few different pull the curtain back, look behind the scenes on the influencers. One last thing. One of my favorite things to do is if I have a group of influencers, about once a year, I will invite them to some sort of influencer dinner or meet and greet. First of all, they love connecting with each other. They'll start following each other. They'll start sharing each other's content. It's great networking. And then it's also delightful to work with them to do something that feels unique and fun. And if it's a food product, you can highlight the food product. If it's something else, you can have swag bags. You can do a cake and champagne party. There's a lot of different fun ways to do that, but that's a really great way to host a fantastic influencer type event at least once a year. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you need help with your influencer marketing, your brand ambassador program, any of those things, please reach out. We would be delighted to help you out.